Okay, so first off, let's go over the agenda for today's presentation. I would like to start off by giving you an overview of what SOLIDWORKS PDM templates are and where they fit into our product range. We have a whole suite of software tools, and I just want you to get a better understanding of what portion of the software tools these come from. I do have some that I've made earlier, so I want to give you a quick run through some examples of templates from SOLIDWORKS PDM. Then I want to pull the curtain back basically and jump into the administration tool, and let's go ahead and create a couple of templates on the fly. That'll give you a really good understanding of how these are created, how easy that process is, and then if you have the tools available, maybe you can start configuring some of these yourself. Finally, I want you to understand the benefits of using the templates within SOLIDWORKS PDM. So I'm going to show you the reasons why you may want to consider using SOLIDWORKS PDM templates if you're not doing so already, or if you're not getting full value out of this software tool. Next, I would like to show you where the PDM templates fit into our design platform and where these actually come from within our software tools. So if you're familiar with SOLIDWORKS, you'll know we're more than just a CAD software tool. We have design software for mechanical, electrical, electronic. We have software tools for analysis, software tools for quality, manufacturing. We have a whole host of different software tools available, but where the SOLIDWORKS PDM templates fit into our platform is down in the product data management tools. Now on this slide here, I have the 3 data management offerings that we have from SOLIDWORKS. Starting on the left-hand side, we have PDM Standard. If you already own SOLIDWORKS Professional or SOLIDWORKS Premium, you actually already own PDM Standard. The templates themselves actually are a tool within the PDM Professional software, and that's in the middle of this slide. You'll see the PDM Professional, and the little icons there will show you the different capabilities within that software. And then finally, just on the right-hand side there, you will see there is a Manage, which is our top end of our data management solutions. And again, you can see from the icons that are on the screen the different tools and resources that these software tools give you. So as far as templates go, they fit into our PDM Professional, and they fit into the category under standardization. Templates are a way of making sure that everybody's using the same file formats and grabbing data from the same place. So really, it's a way of standardizing your documentation across your organization. Okay, so let's try and understand PDM templates in a little bit more detail. So what are templates? Well, templates are a way to automate the creation of files or folder structures inside of your PDM vault. During this creation process, you can also automatically name files and folders. You can grab custom variables that go into the data cards for either the folders or the files. Now, how would you benefit from using templates? How would your organization benefit from using templates? Well, the nice thing about the templates is they can control how or where folders and files are created. So, for example, if you had restrictive permissions, so users can't just create folders and files anywhere in the vault, you could override those permissions in the template permissions. So, for example, I couldn't create a folder in a project folder. However, I could run a template that allows me to create the folder. So it gives me a little bit more, another level of permissions, so to speak. The other thing that it does is when you create these files and folders from a template, you're standardizing the form or the structure that you're creating. So the nice thing about that is everybody across your organization is pulling the same templates, creating the same folder structures. So you're really standardizing your vault and getting a little bit more control in your organization of how things are structured within your PDM system. Now, during the creation, when you're running these templates, we will prompt the user for input data. So that might be in the form of a pop-up that prompts the user for info, or it could be an input data card. Now, the nice thing about that is it ensures that we've got all the information we need prior to creating these files and folders. And if we use things like drop-down lists, it also validates that we're getting the correct information as well. So armed with that information, we know what templates do, we know what they are, we know how they're going to benefit our organization. So the next thing we want to take a look at is how we're going to use these templates. Now, I did mention there's a couple that I've created earlier, so we'll do a live demonstration in just a moment with these. But I just want to quickly go over, there is an option in the right mouse menu, again, controlled by user permissions. So a user could come into the PDM Vault, right click, and have access to any templates that you've configured in your PDM system. So that could be a template to create a new document, SOLIDWORKS file, Excel spreadsheet, specification sheet, could be any document. Or you could right click and create a template that builds you a project folder structure. Now, when you're a CAD guy and you're working in SolidWorks, you typically don't create all of your files on Windows Explorer and then go in SolidWorks and start opening them and modeling. Typically, what you do is you use the File New menu from within SolidWorks. And I have an example that I'm going to show you here. So with the SolidWorks CAD software, when the template is grabbed from PDM, any input forms or prompts for the user to enter information will still happen. So I'll go through that process with you as well. All right, now in order to do this, I need to jump over into Windows Explorer, and I'll start with this environment here. Anybody who has been to any of our training classes for PDM, you'll probably recognize this name, the Acme PDM Vault. Just to give you an overview here real quick, if you are interested in training, we do offer a 2-day PDM administration training class. And during that training class, the templates is a couple of chapters that we do cover. So we cover the creation of folder structure templates and also file templates. So there is that information covered in our training class if you're interested in learning more about these. And so what I've done here is I've used that same vault that we do in training. I've thrown some folders in here. Now in the templates folder, you'll see I've got some SolidWorks files in there, and I just need to check those guys in. I've got a couple still checked out. Let's go ahead and put them in the vault. So this is typically where you would store your templates in your PDM system. You would have a folder somewhere in the vault, and the files that you want to replicate as templates would be stored in that location and checked in, as you just saw right there. Now, I've created a couple of dummy folders in here. In this projects folder, this is where I want all of my projects to go. All right, so in this example here, I'm going to right-click, and I want to create a new project. You will notice in the right mouse menu, there is an option for a new Acme project, and I simply click on that. Now I'm presented with an input form. This is requesting information from me about the project. So I pick who the customer is going to be. I pick that from a drop-down. I pick from a drop-down again who the project manager is going to be. I'll assign that to myself. And then some information about the project. And this is going to be a cooking grill. So it's going to be a, let's go with portable LP gas, liquid propane. And then we'll pick a size for that grill that we're going to create. All right, so this is a new project. I've entered all the information on the input card. This information is from drop-downs, so I haven't had to type anything. There's no danger of me typing something incorrectly. I've just picked it from lists. I go ahead and hit the OK button. That creates a project folder for me. You'll notice it's serialized that folder name. And all the information that I entered in that input card has now dropped into that folder card, the data card of that folder. Now, the other nice thing that it's done is it's created this folder structure underneath. So now I have a place to put my CAD files, emails, specifications, and miscellaneous documents. All right, so using that template, I'm able to create my projects. And as you can see, I'll just do another one real quick. It's a simple, quick operation. And within a few mouse clicks, I've got another project in there. Again, I've got the folder structure, and I've got my data card filled in. It's got all the information that I need. I've got a serialized folder name as well. All right, now I did mention that if you are using file templates, you would typically do them from the File New menu in SolidWorks. These can still be ran from Windows Explorer. Again, if the permissions are granted, you could right-click and the user is able to create a new file. Now, in this example I have here, I'm just creating a new SOLIDWORKS file. You can create templates that generate Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, any file type that you really want to generate as a template. So here I'll go ahead and generate a new SOLIDWORKS file. It's asking me what the file type is. Again, from a drop-down, I'll just pick what that's going to be. So let's do a mechanical file. We click OK. It generates a new file. It creates a data card and fills out the information that we entered. And in this case here, it's pulling a serialized number. We didn't have to enter the serial number. It's using the part type and the serial number combined to create the file name. Now, all I need to do now is either hit Create File or Open File, and that generates that file for us. But like I said, SOLIDWORKS CAD users typically don't create their CAD files this way. They usually do it directly from the SOLIDWORKS interface, and they use the File New menu. So here's how this would change slightly if you were doing the same method once you've got your templates set up. I do want to quickly point something out here. So if I go to File Locations, I am pointing my vault to that template location inside of my Acme vault. So you do have to have that set up in SOLIDWORKS, and you have to have this folder cached locally. And then once I do that, I go to File New. I'm presented with the template dialog box, so I can pick the template I want to open. And you'll see it gives me a tab called SOLIDWORKS PDM. So this is where my Acme template is. And I'm going to say OK to open that template. Now, with it being a PDM template, the first thing it does is it prompts me to save it to a folder inside of the PDM vault. I could click cancel here and it will just open it in RAM and it's not saved to hard disk anywhere. But it does give me this little prompt, and this is kind of nice because it makes sure that I've got it stored on hard disk. There's also a little bit of security there, so if anything goes wrong, I still got the file stored on my vault view, my local view. So click OK. I get prompted with the same user input information. It wants to know what file type I'm creating. In this case, I'll pick sheet metal and click OK. Now it does the same thing. It fills out the data card with the information that I entered, sheet metal. It pulls a serialized number and it names the file with an intelligent part number. So the SM represents the sheet metal. It's an abbreviation of that. And it pulls a serial number and puts that into the file name. So all I need to do now if I want to start working in this file is just simply open the file and I'm ready to go. So really no different to what you've been doing in the SOLIDWORKS environment. You still go into the File New and pick in a template. It's just that now you've got a little bit of extra level of security because the file is saved to the hard disk. And you've also got the file name, which is now intelligent, and you're ready to start working on it. Okay, so we know what templates are, and we've seen how they are used. At this point, I just want to say that I hope I'm retaining everyone's interest and proving how valuable this software tool can be. Again, if there's any questions that come up as I run through these examples, please feel free to add them into the chat window that's in the right-hand side of the webinar. One of my colleagues will try and answer these as we go through the remainder of the presentation. Now, for the next step, what I'd like to do is go through the creation process so you can see how these are actually created in PDM. Now, the creation process is reasonably simple. It's just a step-by-step process. There's also a wizard that helps us get through that process. So I'll go through this. You can see the step-by-step creation of a template, and hopefully this will clear things up if you have any questions about how this is done. I also want to remind you this is covered in our 2-day SOLIDWORKS PDM Administrator training class. This is part of SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional, so you would need to be in the Professional Administrator training class in order to go through these steps with an instructor. All right, so let's take a look inside of the vault. I'm going to jump into my administration tool, and inside the vault, my Acme vault, towards the bottom, you will see the templates node. What I want to do here is create a template, and I'm going to do the folder structure one. So it's going to be similar to the new projects that we just ran a few moments ago. So I'm going to have a template that creates a folder structure, gathers some input data, transfers that input data to the data cards of the folders that it creates. I do want to set you up for a couple of things here. There's a couple of things that I've done already ahead of time. So I've created a template card. So this is the input card. As we're creating the template folder structure, I'm going to require the user to put the customer in there. The project number is going to be serialized. So this is going to grab a serialized number and put it in there for us. And then the description is just a text field that you can type a description in for the project. I'll just quickly show you the order number is the serialized number. So I've created one of these already. So this is ready to go for our template. All right, so we've got the input card, we've got the serial number. The next job for us is to go through the template creation. So to do that, it's just a right click, new template. The step-by-step process is really just going through each one of these links on the left-hand side. So first thing it's looking for here is the menu string. All right, I'm going to call this one new order. So it has to be different to the last one. All right, we'll go ahead and hit next. Takes us to the next page. On this page, it's asking who we want to execute as. So based on the user that's logged in, you've got permissions that allow you or don't allow you to create folders. You can override them here, and you can use the permissions from another user. So for example, here, if I had somebody who was not allowed to create folders, but they were allowed to create new order structured folders, then I can override their user permissions here and just let them take the permissions from the admin user. All right, moving on to next. This is where we select our template card. All right, now I showed you that we do have a card, so I'm going to click on Add Card and select that new customer order template card. When I showed you the card, it had 3 boxes in it. These are the variables that are on the card. So any variables that you create on the input card will show up here. Now, next to that is a column called Template Variable. The way to think of template variables is these are like runtime variables. So they're temporary. We take the variables from the input card, store them in runtime variables or temporary variables, and then we'll transfer them to the output, which is going to go to the data cards of the folders that we create. All right, so for these, I just need to create these template variables and do that by hitting the button on the right-hand side. Now, the name of these is not really important. Like I say, they're just temporary, so you can abbreviate if you want. So I'll just call one of them cust. Now, this is coming from the data card, the input card. So I'm going to choose format string and just leave it blank. I also have description, and I'm just going to put, again, abbreviate it. It's going to be a format string, and I'm going to leave it blank. And then I have another one that's the project number, and this one I'm just going to abbreviate and call it proj_num. Okay, and again, this is going to be a format string because it's reading from the data card. Okay, so I could actually pick the serial number here if it wasn't already on the data card, and I could just grab, in fact, I'll show you right here. I could actually grab that serial number from here as well. But because it's on the card, I can just go ahead and choose format string. All right, so we'll click OK to that. That creates the template variables. Now I just need to line those up. So I'll select the drop down, line them up with the correct abbreviated names. All right. Okay, so now what we have is the customer is going to the template variable cust, the description is going to description, project number is going to proj_num. On the next page, we build up the folder structure that we want to create. Now in the vault, I already created a folder called new orders. So I want all of these new orders to go into that folder. So I'm going to click the yellow folder first, and I'm going to just basically point them to that folder that I created. Okay, so it's going to path to that new orders folder. And then under here is where I want to create them. Now, the first folder I want to create, I would like to name with the template variable that is the serial number, the proj_num. So to do that, what I need to do is use the name of the template variable with %signs each side. So proj_num and %. Remember rightly, there was a O there and there was a gap there. So I'm going to just quickly double check that. No, there wasn't. Okay, so this has to be absolutely correct, otherwise it won't work. So I'll take out that little gap. So there, it's basically pulling the template variable called projnum, which is going to grab that serial number and it's going to put it onto the folder name. Now, I want all the remaining template variables to write to the data card of this folder that it creates here. So to do that, you right-click and you go to Properties. In the Properties window, you want to come to the tab called Copy Variables. And this is where you line up those temporary template variables to the output data cards of the folders that it's creating. So again, you just want to line them up with the correct variables. So description, okay, and then projnum, I'm just going to line that up with project number. All right, so now we've got those lined up. So the template variables are now right into the output data card of the folder. Now underneath here, you can carry on building new folders by just simply selecting and naming it whatever you wish. There is another neat little trick that you can use here. So if you go to, if you have the window folder structure already, like I do here, you can just simply copy that. And then in here, you can actually paste, and it will create that folder structure for you. It's just like a Windows operation, copy and paste. All right, the next thing that it needs is just an icon. Now this will use all the icons that are on your PC, so you can pick from a drop-down list, or you can create an icon. You know, anything that's on there, it will pull up, and that's what the icon will look like over here in the admin tool. Lastly, we just want to grant permissions. So, for example, here we would allow the engineers. I'm logged in as the admin user, and would maybe allow the managers to run this template. Doesn't matter about the permissions, whether they can create folders or not, because we decided that we were going to execute as the admin, so we know that we've got permissions to create the folders running this template. All right, and that's as easy as it is. Now let's go back to our vault and let's go ahead and try and run one. So I'll start off inside the new orders folder. And if we do a right mouse click in the new menu, you can now see we have the template, new order. We'll just go ahead and click that. As you can see, it automatically pulls a serial number, the project number. All right, and now we're going to choose the customer from a drop down. All right, this is good because the list is predefined, so we have to pick something from the list. The project description is a text field. We can write anything we want in here. So new order example 1. All right, and then we'll click OK. Now that creates that new order for us. It fills in the data card with the information that we had in our input card, and below it, it creates the folders. Now, one of the nice things about this as well is because we predefined that we want these to go into this folder, it doesn't matter where you are in the vault. So if we created another one, this time we'll pick Forged. New order example 2. All right, doesn't matter where we are, we click OK. It creates that in the correct place. Okay, so hopefully that shows you how easy it is to create a template that will create the folder structure for you and gather the information that you need. As I say, this is now a quick way of creating that folder structure and making sure that you have the right information on the folders. So as you can see, the step-by-step process using the wizard, very, very simple. It's really just a 6-step process. And you're ready to go. Okay, so that was example 1 of how to create the folder structure using a template in PDM. My example 2, I'm going to show you how to create a file template. So for this file template, what I want to be able to do is is in the SOLIDWORKS interface, I want to click on New, and I want a template here that I can pick. I want the template to be predefined as a American inch. So I want it to have the right dimensioning scheme, and I want to be able to just basically select that template, add a little bit of information, and start working. The process is going to be similar to what we did before, so we're just going to use the template wizard to create it. I do have a data card that I made for this one. It's just a simple data card with a drop-down list. This allows me to pick the file type. And then I'm going to use another serial number as well. And for this one, I think I'll just use the item number. So I'll give it an item number when I create the file. All right, so same process. Right-click, new template. Now, in the menu string is what we're going to create. All right, so I'm going to say the menu string will show that I'm creating a part inch. All right, so I'm just going to name it part IN. I'm going to use the permissions from the logged in user this time, so that when engineers are creating new files, it's using their permissions. I'm going to add the template card that I just showed you a moment ago. So the part template card. It has that one variable on it, which is the file type. I need to create a template variable to store that in temporarily. So for this one, I'll just do file type. All right, and this is going to be a format string because it's coming from the input card. And then I also want another one for the name of the file. So for this one, I was going to use the serial number and just name it. So let's see, I'll call that one file name. And for this one, we'll select serial number. And the serial number, like I say, will make this one item number. All right, we'll click OK to that. Line up the input card to the template variable. So file type will line up. On the next page, this is where we get to pick either the folders or the files. So folders we picked in the last example on the left-hand side. The files, in this example, we're going to pick on the right-hand side. Now we want to click on this little new icon in the upper right. This will open up a browser window. And you want to browse this to your templates location. I'm just going to back up here and show you the templates location inside of your PDM vault. And the reason for that is the template is controlled. There's only certain users who can modify the templates. So everybody else is using a template that's been predefined and approved. When I select that, it shows me here the path to the file. You know, I can always change that later if I need to. I want to line up the temporary template variables with the file data card that we're going to create when we create the file. So again, just line them up. You know, I'll go with file type and then file name. I'll just line those two up so they'll write to the output card. And then over here in this window here, this is the file name of the file you're going to create. What you're basically doing here is you're copying this file and creating a new file. Now the name of it is going to copy here and the extension. I want to name the file with the serial number. I'm going to leave the extension on the end, and I'm going to click the button here on the right and select file name. All right. And there's also another option here. I just want to point this one out real quick. There's an option to show the file data card when the file is created. So when you fire off the template, the data card pops up. You can prompt the user then for more information. All right, and we'll just leave it at that. The icon just going to be SLD PRT. That's the little SOLIDWORKS icon. And then for the users who have permission, I'm going to select the engineers. And of course, I'm logged in as admin, so I'll select myself. All right, now, like I showed you earlier, there's two ways we can run this one. So I'll give you an example, first of all, in the Windows Explorer. I did show you in the right mouse menu, we had the option for part IN. So I would simply click that. It prompts me for the type of file that this is going to be. So in this example here, I'm going to select purchased. Click OK. It brings up the data card, and I'll just say create file. And as you can see, it creates that file and fills in any data card information that we mapped over. It names the file with the item number. So this file's in the vault, it's ready to go. I can start using it. Going into SOLIDWORKS, I would use the File New option. Now you could see in the File New dialog, this is pointing to my SOLIDWORKS vault, and here's the template that I used earlier, SOLIDWORKS new part, and this is the one we just created, the part IN. So you would simply select that and click OK. It's going to prompt you for where you want to save it. So, for example, here, let's go to the new orders. That's where we put in everything. We'll put it in the same location as the other file. Again, it's going to prompt you for what file type this is. Now, I'm in SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to make a new mechanical part. We'll click OK. All right, and you can see it creates the file, fills in the data card, and we'll just simply go ahead and say Open File. It opens it in SOLIDWORKS. Everything's predefined, the file name. It's already saved to hard disk. So it's already in my PDM vault. I can now start working, and I'm ready to go. So back in the interface here, you can see there's the file that we've got. There's the working copy, the local file, and it's open in SOLIDWORKS right now, so it's ready to start using. All right, so there's two examples. One to create folder structures and one to create new file templates. Now you can do a combination of both. So if you wanted to pre-populate some folders with files, that can be done in step 4. Like I've been mentioning, there is a training class that we offer that will cover all of that in more detail. And that's the SOLIDWORKS PDM Administrator training class. All right, so there's two examples that I created live. Here are some more examples, just to give you some food for thought. So obviously you would have more than one SOLIDWORKS file template. You may have lots of different file types, solids, as well as different drawings, maybe some different assembly templates. So you could have multiple different templates in the PDM vault. You may have different folder structures for different departments. So you could have templates for different folder structures. Another common area, and I actually do have a video for this one, it's the ECN documents. So using SOLIDWORKS PDM to create ECNs, you can use XML format. I've got a video that shows you that on YouTube. I've got one that shows you XML format also using the revision table. So ECN documents is a common usage for the PDM templates. There's also customers using PDM templates for specifications, so to create a quick specification sheet that's predefined with the right information, as well as quality check sheets. So there's just some other examples of how you could use SOLIDWORKS PDM templates to benefit your organization, standardize your documentation, structure things a little bit easier for your users to understand. All right, so to summarize, what are the big benefits of what we've seen today? Well, first of all, efficiency. It's faster to create these files and folders. So you're saving time, obviously you're saving money, you're freeing up engineering resources to do other things. So efficiency is a big one. You've also got better control over who can create files and folders and where they can create them. So for example, as I was mentioning during the presentation, you can not have permissions to create files in a particular folder, but you do have permissions to create a specific template in that folder. So you can make sure that you're not junking up any folders with the wrong file types, for example. The other nice thing about it is it standardizes your formats across your organization. So if I can't create my own specification sheet, but I have to use the template, then I have to use the standardized documentation. So that makes sure that all of our documents look correct, they're all formatted correctly, we've got great standardization, and we've got neat and tidiness across our organization. Because of that, everything's done electronically, everything's pulling from the same place, we have repeatable quality. Electronic data input has less chance of errors, especially if you're using things like drop-down lists rather than text boxes. So the quality of the information inside of your PDM vault becomes a much higher standard.